Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here. It's time for our first Sundance recap. I've been granted access to Sundance on a working credential. It's the first movie I saw, Falling, Viggo Mortensen's directorial debut and his debut as a writer. He stars in the movie, he produced it. The film follows a gay older man, played by Viggo Mortensen, and his father, who is a angry bigot grandpa. Basically, it chronicles the angry grandpa having many opportunities to say mean, nasty things, sometimes bigoted things, sexist, racist, homophobic things. This is basically that, but for the whole movie. It gets tedious, folks. It almost feels after a while like the movie was built around this trope. Like, they just wanted to have all these scenes of, like, this angry grandpa. And so they gave him a gay son to say fairy and other gay slurs to. And one of the things that surprised me the most was that this film wasn't really well acted. Viggo has a scene that he's very good in, but for the most part, he's just there. The grandpa in this movie, who has like the biggest, showiest role, it screams the kind of role that gets nominated for supporting actor. He's definitely the best performance in the movie. But it also feels like, and this is with all the performances pretty much, you can see the writing when the actors are speaking. And this is like the worst in the flashback scenes where those actors are not as good. Kids don't just sit there and say, "Yes, Daddy." That's all the child lines in this movie. The film visually is really kind of just bland and dull. It's directed in like the way that you'd expect a movie to be directed, but without a vision. I feel bad for saying it because I like Viggo, but it felt kind of amateur as a directorial debut, and the screenplay. The overall quality was just like not great. Really, the angry grandpa dominates this movie. It's not very interesting of a relationship between him and his son. His son just kind of absorbs absolutely everything that comes at him, and so do all the people around him. The movie is pretty stagnant structurally. All these scenes kind of end up feeling like excuses for the grandpa to go on more angry tirades. Like midway through the movie, it's like, okay, we get it. Like, can we do something else now? I'm not calling like Viggo or anything like a racist or a bigot for writing this character. I think there's definitely a way that we have to distinguish characters' actions from like the writers. But it seemed like the movie liked it too much. By the end of this film, I just kind of was waiting for it to end. I hate to say it. And when the movie ended, there were no claps. Everyone just kind of like got up in a hurry to go. This shouldn't have gone a minute over 90, and it's kind of approaching 2 hours. So this one, not great. Would give a 3 out of 10. The next film I saw was Jumbo, a film I knew nothing about except that Noemi Merlant, if that's how you pronounce that, is in the movie. One of the lead actresses from Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I read that it was about a girl who has some sort of fascination with theme park rides or carnival machines, and I was like, all right, this looks like visually interesting. And this movie is bonkers in a very good way. It's going to be known as the movie about a girl who fucks a theme park ride. That is what this movie is going to be known as. It is already happening. When I was watching this movie, I was like, this is going to have a reputation. The reason I like this movie is because it's so committed to it. It's so committed to like the character's emotional reality of like, I love this ride. She has like a bond for inanimate objects that she considers just as serious as the bonds that other people form with human beings. And it's hard, if not impossible, to watch this movie and not be like, yeah, you actually feel that way about this object. The direction like takes her point of view really seriously. It has funny moments. It knows that it's weird, but it's also like really determined on getting you to understand the main character's point of view, and I think that's why it works. Not everyone's gonna love it. Some people are gonna be like, this is stupid, this is silly. But the movie actually kind of asks you the question, like, is that love legitimate if it's truly felt? Like, can you love an object so much that it actually gives back to you as much as you would get from a human being? The scenes where she has like her relationship with the ride, visually quite stunning, sonically quite stunning. The ride is like lighting up in all these like really cool ways. The directing is doing all these like whirly things to help you like feel that. It's actually really, really well done. And it's sometimes beautiful. That's what I mean by like committing. It makes you feel how beautiful their relationship is, even though it's like ridiculous that she's in a relationship with a ride and naming it Jumbo. What surprised me the most was at the end of the movie, I was like, this is a fucking crowd pleaser. Anybody who's like remotely okay with subtitles will be okay with this movie because it's entertaining and it's weird, it's bonkers, it's bizarre. Like, they're just gonna be like, yeah, like, you know what? Like, fuck it. Like, that was a good movie. I could tell that this movie knew it was gonna lose people and it didn't care. And if you are along for that ride, you will like it. It's not a movie that I can see many people calling a masterpiece, though. Tonally, like, this movie is going to have issues for everybody. But that's kind of the nature of this beast and what a beast it is. So I really enjoyed this movie. Jumbo, 8 out of 10. It's a movie unlike anything you've seen. For that, like, we automatically give it credit. Next film I saw was Ironbark. This movie stars Benedict Cumberbatch and is directed by Dominic Cooke. This is a true story of wartime unsung heroes, sort of in the similar vein of movies like Bridge of Spies. The Imitation Game comes to mind. I really enjoyed this more than I thought. The film is about a British salesman who is recruited by the powers of the US and the UK to help a Russian traitor stop conflict so that the Cold War doesn't end everybody's life. This film is actually really well made. The score is great. Sean Bobbitt, I learned, did the cinematography, who is known for Steve McQueen films. And you got Benedict Cumberbatch at the center of it, a regular guy who's suddenly in a position where he can basically save the world. There's also good supporting performances from Jessie Buckley and Rachel Brosnahan. Great pieces in the ensemble cast. What surprised me about this movie was that it really hit all the emotional beats that I wanted it to, you know, even threw some in there that I didn't see coming. Merab Ninidze plays the Russian in this movie, and he really sneaks up on you throughout the course of this movie. He became the heart of the story, which was like really cool to see. The movie really developed a sense of heart as it went on. The script is as you want these kind of movies to be, like Bridge of Spies and Imitation Game, where it has wit, it's got humor, it's smart and informative. The directing was less average than I had feared it to be. A lot of the directing actually felt very purposeful, which I was glad to see. It wasn't just like an averagely shot movie. I don't necessarily expect that it's going to end up getting nominated for a ton of Oscars. In fact, it might kind of go the Report route and get very few nominations. Or no nominations. I think that this movie might be dismissed as like, oh yeah, that was solid. Just like The Report. I would say it's a little more than solid. I was very pleased with it. Yeah, it's those movies, and it maybe doesn't resonate in a way where it's like, wow, this is such an urgent, important story that we need right now. But it has some surprises up its sleeves, and it made me very glad that I watched it. And I will give this one an 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Does your Sundance?